Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Death Stranding. Today's plans. We are going to go build new roads, do some priority missions, and then head off towards Lake Knot City, where we'll be ending off and starting our new stream. This time, a couple things I want to discuss is about any information that we get along the way. So any mail, any data, anything like that. I'm actually going to um, display during bonus sections unless there's something golden like this. So we'll be getting to do that really soon. Yeah, so the gold text ones, gold yellow, are going to be on screen, on display for when we do it, when we get around to it, when we start playing on stream. Anyways, starting off with the Wandering MC. Have you used your honor hood? When I was younger, I was something of a professional host. I would travel all over the country and speak at events, meet interesting people, and so on. In my own little way, I was hoping to bring America together too. I really believe that. Sure, I was scared of BTs and I had lots of border friends, so we used to travel together from city to city. They called me the Wandering Host. I remember the first time I was asked to take part in a cosplay event. I didn't really understand the concept at first, but that event opened my eyes and showed me how wonderful cosplay could be. Most people are skeptical, but it's something you can't understand unless you experience it for yourself. A total transformation into someone or something else. I was an instant convert. I started running on my own cosplay events, trying to get everyone to see how amazing it really is. It was at one of these events that I met my girl. Her costumes are incredible on a whole other level. It's not just her technique either. It's her spirit, her soul. She's transcended to a higher plane. And anyway, she's one who made that otter head. Maybe you've already noticed, but putting that on will pretty much turn you into an otter. That's sure to be useful at some point, right? I want to share her passion with the whole world. That's why I persuaded her to hook up with to the Carol Network and join the UCA. Next time you drop by. With my people's skills and her designs, we'll get the whole country on the cosplay train before you know it. Fun. Be sure to use your otter hood. That otter hood I made for you is pretty special. I know you because I tested it out myself by putting it on, transformed into an otter. And I'm not just talking about your appearance, you literally become one with the water. Did you notice that I even put a Bridges logo on it for you? That's proof that no one else has done anything like it. I'm so happy that I'm able to help support your work. Us humans should strive to live in harmony with nature. We won't survive for long if we're always fighting against it. We need to go with nature's flow, surrender ourselves to the natural rhythms of the world. That's what I think, anyway. Um, that's why I got into cosplay. I wanted to lose myself in a character, let the character take over. Some people think it's just an excuse to wear fancy clothes, but they're missing the point. It's an art, the art of transformation. We should all embrace our place in the world. So that's what there was a time when I tried to stay apart from it all, but after meeting my beloved, my eyes have been opened, and that's why I've decided I'm going to sign a contract with Bridges and see where that thing takes me. All right, Sutherland, what you got? Kick back with some Timefall Porter. Sam, thanks as always. I've sent you some Timefall Porter, the world's finest brewed beer for Bridges' fastest runner. Hope it provides a welcome respite on a hard day. Should be waiting for you in your room. Enjoy. Do we actually have this? Alright. Let's see. Delivery for Pepper. So I have a delivery request for you. There's a prepper out there who's got a special talent, calls herself a cosplayer. She can apparently dress herself up to look like damn near anyone or anything. There's no one better when it comes to designing and making clothes and accessories, but she needs a new sewing kit to finish her current project. Would you find one and deliver it to her? I'm pretty sure she'd have something interesting to offer you in return. Thanks. Good thing we did that earlier. So I was just like, cosplayer! Yes! Anyways, take a dip in some hot springs. Feeling tired, Sam? Wouldn't blame you. After all, you're not a machine. You need a break and whatnot. Lucky for you, I know the perfect place. Some hot springs, a hop, skip, and a jump northeast of where the junk dealers hold up. The crater digestive baths, as I believe they're called, good for getting the bowels moving in case you're backed up. The waters are also good for general aches and pains. Miraculous healing properties apparently does wonders for a stressed baby even. Not one suffering from autotoxemia though, obviously. Anyway, you should give it a try sometime. Interesting. Northeast. The junk dealer's location. Alright. Chop chop Sam, people get tired of waiting. Don't they know it? What kind of porter grades you getting these days, Sam? It can't be easy trying to stand out in all those categories: cargo condition, cargo quality, delivery volume, purse links, and all that stuff. Couldn't manage it myself. I'd throw my hands up in the frustration. I've got one piece of advice for you. Focus on speed. That's the most important thing when it comes to making deliveries. After all, how to improve it, though, that's the question. You probably know it's this already, but in case you don't, there's one simple way for you to improve your speed. Take the shortest route, unless that is in an area's infrastructure means that the longer, less direct route will get you there faster. Not so simple after all, eh? You've probably got a feel for picking efficient routes already, though most porters with your experience ought to. By the way, if you're already feeling confident about how quickly you can make deliveries, why not try your hand at setting a premium delivery record? You might even enjoy it. Uh, oh, that's not. It's not just your clients who will be happy. If you up your delivery speed, your body will too. As it grows stronger, you'll have more stamina, you'll be able to hold your breath for longer, all sorts of stuff. Keep at it, Sam. You're going to be the top ranked porter out there in no time. I just know it. I almost am. I just need a lot to do with time emissions. The bots are here, but is that for the best? Sam, that bot you brought us, it's a real piece of work. Takes everything into account, cargo type, terrain, calculates the quickest route even uh, every time. And if it does happen to run into BTs, there's no void out to worry about. If we can teach it how mules operate, it might even be able to anticipate their movements and avoid them too. Which means all the risk is using human porters, the dangers you and yours face every day, well, they can be a thing of the past. Might not be a need for you to put your life on the line any longer. Time to start planning for the easy life, eh? But it's for the best, I wonder. Leaving everything to the bots? Isn't that what led to the drone syndrome and all that? Better just keep people involved in some respect, maybe. Same with cars back in the day. Everyone was all about self-driving vehicles, but if you ask me, a human hand ought to always be on the wheel, right? Speaking the truth. Inspiration. Sam, I owe you an apology. In my last mail, I might made it sound like you were on the fast track to becoming obsolete. Guess I got caught up in my excitement that over that delivery bot. Maybe I didn't let it show so much, but I was glad to find you on our doorstep again. Seriously, sure, the bots are useful and less risky, but that doesn't mean we don't still need guys like you. If anything, we need you now more than ever. You're a symbol, an inspiration. When people see you risking your neck for the rest, that they have something to aspire to. I'm not saying that everyone should charge off into the wilderness, of course, but I think you've got a great example of how we can work towards a better future. People need that. Hell, I need that. Timefall Farmer, best damn brew you'll ever drink. Dear Sam, another long day on the road, I'd wager. Well, you know what soothes mind, body, and soul after a hard day's work? A delicious draught of Timefall Porter. We finally got a brew. We finally got to brewing up a batch of beer. You familiar with porter? It's an English ale that's been made since the 1700s, and it was popular in the carriers who used to deliver loads up and down the Thames, hence the name. And the other part, well, I don't think I have to explain that. It's crafted with the finest, fastest growing wheat under the time pole. So, Mr. Legendary Porter, why don't you put your feet up and enjoy a tall glass of your namesake? And don't think that's the end of it. We'll be breaking bread and cooking pizzas before you know it. Just you wait. That'd be cool. Timeful pizza, timeful bread. Anything left outside America? Tara. Tara's outside America. Thanks again. You've done a great deal to keep things ticking here at the weather station, which we really appreciate. And the Chiral network is incredible. If you can continue to expand coverage with your Cupid, it won't be long before we'll have real-time tracking of meteorological phenomena all over the continent. We still won't have much of an idea what's going on elsewhere, but there's not a whole lot we can do about that. While I may be chasing rainbows, I still hope we can get a view of from above the clouds one day. It's crazy, no one really knows what's happening to the rest of the world even now. Maybe the Stranding destroyed everything except America. Maybe we're all the only ones shrouded in the clouds of chiral yeah, in the clouds of chiral matter, and the rest of the world is carrying on without us. Or maybe the whole damn universe got wiped out and we're all that's left, floating in space. Alright, that last one's just me being a pessimistic ass, but the point aside, we need to know what's out there and to do that, we need to bring the whole continent into the network. You're our best hope, Sam. Our only hope. In fact, the junk dealer. Thanks for delivering the prototype. Sam, I heard you deliver the samples we provided. Thanks for that. We really appreciate it. I know it was probably weird for you, me and her being separated and all, and I'm not going to pretend I wasn't a stupid asshole about, well, everything. Anyway, I just wanted to say that we're grateful, and I hope that stuff comes in handy one day. By the way, we've got a few more designs we're working on, so if you'd like to look for that kit, drop by our shelter for a gander. Hopefully the things we're working on will prove useful, if not to you, and to someone. See you around, Sam. We're going to stop by the junk dealer and deliver a lot of his goods. That's for sure. Junk disposal. Sam Bridges, I have a job for you. Should you be interested, a pile of junk has accumulated near my shelter and needs to be disposed of. There is a problem, however. Some of the aforementioned waste produces may contain contaminated by Carillion, which means the only safe place which to dispose them is the Crater Lake to the south. It should be an easy enough for Bridges man such as yourself, but it's up to you whether you take the job or not. It would certainly help me with you and your kind more favorably if you were to agree to help me, however. I saw that. It's just weird. The border. Victor Frank. Started using utility pouches, Sam? Sam, my man, got a love you for you here. A lot of love for you here in Port Knot City. Everyone's talking about how you hooked us out to the network and took out the BT. Makes me feel a little better about how Igor went out, knowing that he was in company of a real hero like yourself. By the way, I've been wondering, you've been using the utility pouches. They make it real easy to carry an extra blood bag or two, and you ought to know better than anyone how much BTs hate that stuff. I hate this stuff. In fact, you've got a bag of bread on you. I'd strongly recommend popping it in a pouch. Give it a try, at least. I mean, what do you have to lose? Folks used to use all kinds of pouches, you know. Haven't seen much variety for a while now. But back in the day, porters would rock customized backpacks decked out with a dozen or more specialized pouches. You know, if you're lucky, you might even find someone to design one just for you. Huh. Could be the beginning of a virtuous circle. You ask me. The more you succeed in bringing our people together, the more likely you'll turn up some of these old pouch designs, which in turn ought to help you in your work to get others on board. Good luck, film director. There's a pack into the theaters. I tried toying with the tablets you brought me, such a flimsy, cheap thing, and yet it was capable of displaying all kinds of video and imagery courtesy of my contract with Bridges. I suppose it could be useful in some respect, but the experience is ultimately lacking. I long for the, what's it, Vision days? Sure. Halcyon days when the people would pack themselves into movie theaters, when you'd laugh together, cry together, jump in fright together, when cinema was a communal experience. And but then came the tyranny of the tablets, which reshaped how media was shot. All dramatic close-up and cliffhangers. Nope, I'm offline. Oh no! All dramatic close-ups and cliffhanger designed to draw you into the next installment. Bah! It was a far cry from the golden age of film, for when the silver screen reigned supreme, I tell you, I was born a century too late. The Elder. Rebuild the roads, rebuild America. I see that the delivery bots are on the prowl again. Guess that means the roads are getting better out there. Used to be highways and byways running all over the back in the day, where was one, yeah, the highways and byways running all over the back in the day. There was one, the Mother Road, some called it, that was the one folks used to follow all the way to the west, chasing their dreams. Rebuild the roads and rebuild the dream. Is that it? The old America classic, the belief that success and prosperity are within everyone's reach. Well, I may not be much of a for your UCA, but your plans to rebuild the country, and your plans to rebuild the country. But if you can finally make that one work, I'll raise a glass to you. That's for sure. Sure. Crafts and Age of Printed News. Oh, jeez. I used to have this prepper friend, an older guy, who'd always talk about how the good old days before the Stranding. 3D printing was all the rage apparently, and the tech could be used to spit out pretty much anything you could think of. Even the most complicated stuff didn't take long for the first gun to be printed. All you had to do was input the right design, and you'd have yourself a firearm. People didn't think much of it at first, but kids messing all around with just kids messing and all of that. But didn't stop there. Printed guns became printed bombs, and printed bombs became printed nukes. Illegal as hell, of course, but the government couldn't do anything to stop it. You got no idea who's packing a nuke. The best course of action is to make sure you're packing one yourself, right? That's how people thought back then, anyway. Mutually assured destruction for every honest citizen. People saw enemies everywhere, terrorists, sleeper cells, all that shit. And then there was an explosion. The Death Stranding had nothing to do with nukes, of course, but people were pretty quick to jump to the wrong conclusion. Almost everybody assumed it was terrorism. Why wouldn't you? Anyway, this old timer, he didn't want anything to do with other people. He just wanted to shut himself up in shelter and be left alone. He was scared. Everything that came before had led to a world filled with weapons. I could see where he was coming from, thinking society and government were doomed to fail. But I'm more optimistic as long as we remember the mistakes of the past, as we strive for as we strive for a brighter future. I believe we can prevent another explosion. Guess what I'm saying is I'm fully aware of the risks, but I think we got to give the UCA a shot. All right, nothing engineer. To read everything? I believe so. All right. Data. Do tips. Terrain scanner special locations. Tall grass, you can hide from enemies here. Bottomless tar. Gradually sink if you enter a path and road in hot spring. Nice. Any scanner pings can be cancelled out by using the Aldrich scanner function. Try sending out a ping of your own at the exact same moments. And from enemy scanning, the Aldrich's hologram generator can be used to create a hologram of a boulder. Hiding inside this will render you undetectable to enemy scanners. Stun bombs. Let's prepare and are to the thorough. Stun bombs can paralyze enemies with the electric shock and can also temporarily immobilize vehicles. Freely used. Weather forecast: wind and timefall. Blue areas indicate timefall. Arrows indicate the wind speed and direction. Up and down can be used to alter the time for which the weather forecast can be displayed. Increments of 10 minutes. Interviews. Be careful so don't skip the interviews. Evolution, death, stranding, and fear of dying. Death has been Homo sapiens' constant companion for every step of our evolutionary journey. Our culture, civilizations have been built with an awareness of our relationship with death, the extent to which we accept and live with it out of fear of the inevitable decomposition and destruction of the flesh. Our ancestors developed elaborate embalming techniques, death masks, and the like. Indeed, the mask has ever been a symbol of the soul that transcends this world to exist for eternity in the next. The mummies and sarcophagi of ancient Egypt were built, one instance of this. Honored individuals were given masks and placed inside sarcophagi in order to be preserved for eternity, thereby transcending death and attaining immortality. Painting and photographs are no different, really. They are simply more modern versions of the Egyptians' masks and sarcophagi. Indeed, all humanity's crowning achievements, art, language, writing, are arguably a reaction to death, an experience, not experience, an expression of our desire to overcome it. They are great feats born from fear, and one might even go as far as to say that it was a primal fear of death that drove the evolution of our ancestors into Homo sapiens in the first place. In fact, I would go further still. I would posit that it was this fear that brought about the Death Stranding itself. It has certainly seemed more and more plausible of late. The fear is causing the stranding. Corporate interview: the Timefall Farmers. From Timefall Farmer. At Timefall Farmer. Me, I used to be an ecologist. I only thought highly of me and my wife's research into timefall spec on plant life. She was the one who suggested it could be used to boost agricultural production. See, timefalls radically alter the ecosystem of the entire continent. Obviously, I know it's just as it's obvious we're of that agricultural one actually messed me up. It's obvious we are powerless to stop it, so we had the idea of trying to use it to our advantage instead, make the environment better, not worse. Easier said than done, though. Take violent craters, for example. Local chiral density is generally higher in their vicinity, which correlates with increased timefall. With all that exposure, you'd think they'd turn lush and green again, but before you know it, unfortunately, it doesn't quite pan out that way. Nothing grows in any of them. Might be this timefall's done something to the soil, but the truth is, I don't have a clue, which is one of the reasons why me and the missus are conducting our research. Gotta say, for the record, that it hasn't crossed our minds that timefall could be used to help grow food. That idea was all Amelie, so credit where credit is due. From the junk dealer. Incredible, isn't it? This hourglass. See how the sand flows upwards? Got chiral particles in it. That's why it moves like that. And look at the shape of the glass. So elegant, so delicate, just like the girl who made it. Hard to believe it's even of this world. But it was made by human hands, all right? Crazy, isn't it? No wonder everyone in South Knot City knows her work. You can imagine how I felt when she gave it to me. I guess you could say it was a thank you present. She'd asked me to fix something for her, and this was what I got in return. I've done jobs for all kinds over the years, but none of my other customers ever did anything like this for me. Mostly just toss you a couple likes, and that's the end of it. Don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with a like or two. It's just this was different. The moment she gave me this hourglass, I knew I wanted to be with her. No, never happened though. Ain't cut for love and relationships. Don't have what it takes. Other people kind of scare me, to be honest. Still, even if we can't be together, at least I'll have this hourglass. Well, now you can have her, since the hourglass was destroyed by her. Unknown, unknown. Han Ka, body and soul. The two become separated. You die in this world. At least the death ain't the end, though. So long as your soul's got a body to come back to, you can be reborn, uh, resuscitated. Anyway, that's why people built coffins and sarcophagi to preserve the body, so the soul has a home it could return to. I learned all this and more from an old book I found, The Wisdom of the Egyptians, chock full of interesting tidbits about death and how to overcome it, like the golden death mask of the pharaohs, the ones decorated using magical ornaments, is an indication of the wearer's prestige and power. I'll tell you what, if we've learned anything from the beach, it's that the Egyptians had it all figured out. So I decided to give myself a mask, not a death mask though, one for the living, for ruling. Today's the last day anyone sees my face. I don't need it anymore. Bridges way station out west just got taken out by terrorists. Used the void out to do it. We dumped a corpse nearby and let it go necro, dropping BTs right into people's laps. Word is Damon's heard the British were sending an expeditionary force out west to fabricate the reconstruction of America, or some such. Guess they didn't take kindly to that. Terrorists, separatists, isolationists, all these folks claim America is coming for their freedom. The old guard that wants to put them in chains, make the individuals subservient to the collective. What they ask what's it all for in the post-Stranding world. And today's triumph is tomorrow's crater. Daddy used to spout the same tired lines. Said America never did nothing for nobody. That's why we took to living in a shelter. Uh, Better down in the hole that's out there under their thumb. Yeah, he was a real saint, my daddy. Tried to run a few times, but he just dragged me back inside, kicking and screaming. Where he'd put those heavy hands of his to work and remind me what happened if I disrespected his authority. But that's love, isn't it? His way of looking after an orphan child he raised as his own. He was only trying to protect me from the evils of the outside world. I owe him my life, and my powers too. First time I ever sensed the BT was when I held him moments before he went to Necro. Just like when I dumped that poor Pepper's body. My daddy showed me that corpses are precious, powerful things. They're so much more than bombs. Terrorists ought to treat them with proper respect. I've had this team with a whole bunch of porters who service the central part of the country. Had to be done. Writing was on the wall for my crew otherwise. And guess what? The leaders got dooms. I've got a feeling we're going to be good friends. Damons and terrorists have been getting more aggressive ever since the Bridges expedition team set out. As if BTs and mules weren't enough. Now we've got to keep our eyes peeled for those guys. And we're making runs. All the more reason we've got to come together, get organized, me and my new partner. We've been talking about consolidating our operations so we can cover the whole continent. If we do, I suppose that'd make us, like the UCA in some respect, different structure and methods, but similar ideology, a deep abiding belief in the importance of community, but the devil's in the details, isn't it? Rural structure, I can't just let people make decisions for themselves. Now there within lies the risk. Therein lies the risk. Can't have us repeating the sins of the past with another USA. Daemons, well, they ain't about to think them for themselves. At the end of the day, a community needs a strong leader, and the God's honest truth is that I'm the only one cut out for it. As I'd heard about the new Porter's powers, don't do her justice. I knew she'd had dooms, but she's on a whole other level, I tell you. I've never seen anything like it. Thank you, Fortnite, for coming here. Not only can she perceive BTs, but she can actually use the beach. Compared to hers, my powers are nothing. Probably tricks courtesy of a few corpses, but it doesn't matter. Not as so long as I've got her. Before we met, I was bound by the limitations of my abilities. I was a blind miner, groping for shadows of a secret realm. But now, because of her, I can actually go to the beach. To the beach with her by my side, I can reshape this world, not into what it was with the old USA, not with what Bridges wants. Something new, something everlasting, right here and now. A world where we are free to do whatever we goddamn please. My Porter's powers are extraordinarily sure, but deep down I know the two of us alone don't have what it takes to bring true, lasting freedom to people. Everything we've done, that we continue to do, no matter how much it may seem to bring people together, it's still a far cry from the way it should be. Timefall, BTs, chiral clouds, all this and more serves to cut us from the rest of creation. And I have to say, I didn't think that's ever going to change. Even people like me, to my poor partner, we have our limits. Now I've met someone who has none. Someone who could save the world from this madness, make it whole again, put our shattered pieces back together. Who is this man and or woman? Anyways, asexual world. Records suggest that the widespread adverse aversion towards physical contact and intimacy was a phenomenon that had been observed even before the Stranding. One contemporary report, for example, details an increasing popularity of the sexless lifestyle among young people. A growing percentage of our younger cohort were self-identifying as asexual, claiming to be incapable of feeling desire for or attraction. Accordingly, such individuals were less likely to have children or engage in sexual activity. It should be noted, however, that many other unique sexual identities were being recognized during this period, such as demisexual, who were incapable of sexual attraction without an emotional connection, and panromantics, who profess an attraction unrestrictedly by sex or gender, albeit one not necessarily sexual in nature. One theory persists that the Stranding accelerated the proliferation of these sexualities in a terrifying new world in which BT's roam and annihilation an everyday occurrence. People have grown reticent to form emotional connection with others. Although there has been no measurable decrease in human fertility, the birth rate has nevertheless dropped dramatically, indicating uh, incidents of sexual harassment and assault have also been a sharp decrease, which seems to suggest that sex could not be further from our minds, for better or for worse. I must preempt myself by admitting that I do not have any empirical data for which to support the following claim. That is, it is my content that, based on the aforementioned observation and others, the vast majority of the population could be characterized as asexual. Weird. Chips. Let's see. Vehicles. The Honda Rebel 500. Bike names for the individualistic nature of those who ride it. The 2010 saw a decline in cruiser-style motorcycles, so this new model, formed from Honda, was a breath of fresh air, one whose iconoclastic spirits won its legions of fans. Simple, tough, and cool, its design that would inspire any porter to climb astride it and set off down the newly rebuilt highways of the ECA. Okay. Trident Street Triple RS. Lauded as Charm's most powerful, dynamic, and downright exhilarating series of road bikes to date, the street triples are a force to be reckoned with, none more so than the top of the range RS model. For those lucky enough to have ridden one, speaks of an adrenaline-soaked experience like none other, perfect for reporters who want to feel the wind of the wasteland in their hair. Almost Man's Journal Part 2. The Secret Confessions of a Certain Someone. Access the interviews menu to learn more. Looks like that's the only one left, so I guess that's the story of Higgs.